After a drawn-out debate, it was decided to blockade Cuba. Some members of the committee thought that Kennedy had gone soft. General LeMay told him a blockade would be considered by a lot of our friends to be a pretty weak response. For 13 days, from October the 15th to October the 28th, American warships set up a blockade around Cuba. The world held its breath as the two superpowers stared a nuclear holocaust in the face. The origins of the split had simmered for 30 years, as the Soviet Union and China differed in ideological thinking. In the 1920s and 30s, the Soviet Union had supplied aid and advisors to the Chinese communists. However, led by Mao Zedong, it was believed that the great force behind the Chinese Communist Party gaining control of the country would come from an uprising of the peasant population. This differed from the directions of Stalin, who believed the industrial working class, as it had in Russia, would be the impetus for revolution. These ideological views are regarded as the difference between Maoism and Marxist-Leninism. Dubček wanted to remain loyal to Moscow and for Czechoslovakia to be a communist country. In contrast, however, he expected the people and newspapers to have freedom of expression and wanted to develop a higher standard of living. He also promised that political parties, as well as a communist party, would be tolerated. Political prisoners were to be released, and Czechs could travel freely abroad. These reforms were known as the Prague Spring. He had two plans he hoped would benefit the Soviet Union and improve the living standards of its citizens. Perestroika was designed to stimulate the economy by producing more consumer goods rather than weapons and nuclear missiles. His plan was to have communism and capitalism live peacefully side by side. Glasnost meant that there would be greater freedom of speech and government policy could be criticized. Gorbachev met with President Reagan in an attempt to reduce much of the tension between East and West.